Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
Hello, my crafty and creative people. I am recording this video for WIP Wednesday. That's right. So you know what that means. Get your beverage, get your project, whatever it is that we do together to be creative. If it's knitting, get your knitting needles, get your crochet hook, get your embroidery hoop. Let me know. Say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from and what you're working on. Maybe you're beading a bracelet. I don't know. And you can even just say, hello, I don't craft, but I'm craft curious. That's right. Even if you're just a spectator, you're welcome to watch. And I hope that I can inspire you to somehow be creative. That's what I love about being here on YouTube, seeing what other people are working on and then getting inspired from their work. So, whatever it is you're doing, let me know. And today, what I am working on is, last week I posted a video for May Day. Oh, and I should introduce myself. So if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for choosing to come back and watch my videos and hang out and spend some time with me. And thank you for your patience. Well, I briefly explain to any new viewers. Hi, my name is May. I love yarn. I love to knit and crochet, and I also happen to be visually impaired. So I knit and crochet by feel. And yes, I am colorblind. Big challenge with knitting and crocheting. Putting colors together. And this week's project definitely has challenged me. So last week for May 1st, because my name's May, of course I posted a video for May Day. And it was perfect because if you watch any of the crochet or knitting or creating podcasts and shows and channels, Jada and Stitches on her Tuesday live, it was her usual Monday live, but she didn't go live Monday. She did a crochet along on Tuesday. And she walked us through these cute little floral squares. Now, this channel is for everybody, but because I am colorblind and visually impaired and I want to promote accessibility on the internet, I use my words and describe my projects because I want this channel to include other people who are blind or visually impaired. So, and I want to encourage people of all abilities or disabilities to find a way to be creative and craft. Knitting and crochet are tactile. You can do them by feel. The thing you'll have the most difficulties with is color. So, she was working us through a flower granny square. You start out by making a flower. She used 4 colors. So I just grabbed my dishy cotton cones. They're 100% cotton. They hang out with me often. And I just happen to have the yellow. So I put the creme brulee, which is a custard yellow, in the center. That's a circle. Then we do the petals. I use my Fiesta red, which is a bright orange red. And then I went and did the jalapeno and then framed it in white. And as much as I love these, I knew I wasn't actually going to wear them. So I'm thinking a tote bag, but I don't sew. Because, you know, the whole visual impairment thing. I'm trying to figure out how I can make these into a tote bag. So I put that project on hold. But I was not yet done with the squares. Oh no, I knew I had to make them into some kind of wearable. That's where my mind was going. Yes, I want to wear granny squares. I do. A lot of people are doing wearables. I mean, I've never been one to pay attention to fashion and trends. I do because I look to what people are doing, what's out there, and I get inspiration. But I don't really care whether something's trendy or fashionable or not. If I like it, I'll wear it. If I don't like it, I won't wear it, even if everybody else is wearing it. Guess what? I still have some of my clothes from 30 years ago. And if I still like them from high school, then I still wear them. My sister got me these pants that I'm wearing, these leopard print pants, when I was probably like 20 or 21. I've had these pants for like 25 years. They still fit and I still wear them and I don't care, okay? So if I like things, I wear them. But granny squares are super trendy right now. So I immediately thought wearable. I knew I couldn't wear these because they're dishy cotton and I love dishy cotton for household stuff. But it really isn't my go-to for a wearable cotton. And my mom has said, I can't wear the yellow and I can't wear the jalapeno. She's told me those are colors I can't wear. So I went to my comfy worsted, which is also from Knit Picks We Crochet. If you watch my channel, you'll find out I do a lot of yarn shopping from Knit Picks and We Crochet. So I went into my stash. I love to have my mountain. I call it Yarn Mountain, my stash, because it is a mountain of yarn. Because that way, when I get an inspiration or get an idea, I can just go to my stash. I don't have to order something off the internet and wait 2 weeks for it to get here. I just know I want to have a variety of yarns and colors in the house to work with. So I went to my stash and thought, what do I have that's of 4 colors? And the whole colorblind thing, it's a struggle. So I ended up doing mine in 3 colors with the comfy worsted, which is a cotton and acrylic blend. Now I'm still in the process. When I say work in progress, that's what WIP Wednesday is. If you don't know that yet, WIP is WIP. It stands for work in progress. And let me tell you, this project is most definitely a work in progress. It's not just a work in progress, it's a creation in progress. It's a design in progress that is challenging me in so many ways. But I went ahead and remade the squares with a white in the center. And then I used my favorite holly berry, right? My favorite holly berry for the petals. And I went with a really dark green called ivy green for the background. And then I went and did the framing in the white as well. So I did that. And then I used the ivy for the body of the skirt. And this is my very first time. I'm not going to get into this a lot. I think I'll get into it in another video. But it's my very first time to do a skirt from the bottom up. So this project is challenging me in many ways. The math and the calculations and fitting it is a real challenge for me. But I like that. I think I will talk about that in another video. But initially, when I was looking at those squares, right, my little squares, I'm holding up my yellow one again, I was thinking top. I really wanted to make these into a top. And I was holding them up to my middle. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be great for like the body of a tank top. From like belly button to under bust, right? And then I'll just knit the top of it and make it solid. So when I held this one up to my body, the one with the yellow, I was thinking, yeah, about 6 of those. That's what will fit across my body. So I made 6. I made 6. And I sewed them together, which that's a whole nother issue, whole nother thing we'll talk about in another video. And then guess what? This piece on the bottom of the skirt is 6. And I put it around my waist. And I was like, what? This thing is way too big for me. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was like, what am I going to do? And I, of course, did think skirt because I love skirts. But I also knew I didn't want to have, as pretty as these squares are, right? I didn't want to have them too high up on my skirt because pretty open. They're pretty lacy. So I knew that was going to mean putting them on the bottom and working the skirt from the bottom up. And I've never done it before. And so I really was like, I'm not up for that. So after I had them all attached, I unattached them, took it down to 5, reattached them right, had to take out the whole thing, put it back together. I got it down to 5. It was still way too big to fit around my middle. Oh my goodness. So I put it down at my hips. And I was like, it'll just be like a peplum style top. And I love peplum style tops. I got a lot of them. I buy them. I've made one. I've designed one. So I love a peplum tank. So that was where my mind was going. Was like put it around your hip area and then make it a longer tank or even a tee or something. That's kind of where I was going. But then I did stop and have a conversation with, Mr. Property Owner. the man who finances my knitting and crochet and yarn habit. And he was like, no, go with a skirt. Just put that closer to your knees. And so because I'd already thought of it and because he thought it'd be a cool looking skirt, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take on the challenge. So I did. Now this project is not done yet. I'm still forming it. I'm still creating it in my mind. Every step of this is completely on the fly. This project has morphed and morphed and morphed. At one point I was like, just put the 6 together in like a rectangle on your back and then sew like a solid piece in the front, right? And still make it as a top. And I could still do something like that. I could do 6 grannies and make that the back of a shirt and then do like a solid body tank on the front. I mean, that's a possibility too. So I'm really realizing how versatile granny squares are. And I'm loving it. I'm getting so inspired by these granny squares. Like I see all these granny square projects and I hear about how much people love making granny squares, and I've struggled and struggled. So that's another thing I'll talk about later on. But I did decide, yes, let's do a skirt, right? Let's take on the challenge. So now that I'm almost, I think this skirt is close to being done. But as I was looking at the bottom, I'm trying to decide how long I want it to be because I'm getting close to making those decisions. I went ahead and did another round. The white frame at the bottom was just the one round of single crochet. And so I just had one round of single crochet on the bottom. I went ahead and did a whole nother round of single crochet. And then I did a whole round of the half double crochet. And I'm kind of feeling like that's enough to just sort of frame the granny squares, right? To just sort of frame them up there. Part of me is super, super tempted. You've probably seen them. I worn them on my channel a few times. I designed and knit these shorts, and I love them. They are the Holly Berry. They're the same red holly, the exact same yarn, Comfy Worsted Holly Berry shorts. And then I knit the top part of it. And then when it came to the divide, I crocheted, did a little crochet for the little crotch, the little divide. And then did some singles, some half doubles, some doubles, and put this little crochet ruffle on the bottom. So part of me is thinking, should I put a ruffle like that on the bottom of the skirt? Or does it just make it too busy, right? Does it distract too much from the squares? I kind of feel like the granny squares are sort of the focus of the project. Like that's what you want. That's where the main focus, the attention that you want for it to go. And I feel like, will the ruffle, will it draw too much attention? Will it make it too
Galaxy
fluffy
Store,
and
48
too
updates
puffy?
available.
I feel like I feel like it's sort of, it's just, I don't know. I almost feel like it's good enough without the ruffle or without any points. Like part of me is thinking about putting like an edging, like I could do a more simple edging, like a shell edging on there. I don't know. I'm really, really struggling with, does it need points on the bottom? Does it need little triangles on the bottom? I have this other skirt that's also Holly Berry. I love Holly Berry Comfy, apparently. And I put little points on this with little shells on the bottom. So I could do the same thing on this skirt. I could put little points on there. But part of me feels like that would really take away from the granny squares. And I don't want to do that. So I don't know if that would overcomplicate it, make it too busy. I don't know, but I have to make that decision soon because soon I need to start working on the waistband, right? The knit 2, purl 2, or probably because of the number, this ends up being an odd number on each side, it'll probably be a knit 2, purl 1 waistband. I'm thinking. That's my thought on that for now. So, anyways, that's kind of my thought on that. Is that I am very this skirt is definitely a it's definitely a work in progress, right? I mean, it's not just a work in progress. It's like a creation in progress. It's like a design. Like, I don't know what I'm doing from row to row, from minute to minute, having to work the calculations from the bottom up. So it's challenging my brain in a lot of ways, okay? So I can't even promise you that I'm going to have this thing done. I want to have it done for Finisher Friday so we can talk about it in more detail, some of the things. But I don't know if it'll actually get completed, if I'll be able to figure out how to do the shaping, how to do the math, how to finish it up, and what to do for the bottom. But I am leaning towards just leaving the bottom plain right now. But I still could put a ruffle on it, or I still could put some shells on it. But I feel like that might distract too much from the granny squares. But now that I've done that, I'm getting so many ideas for granny square wearables, right? That's like the thing right now. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you crochet granny squares? And what kind of wearables do you like to make with your granny squares? And what do you all like to do when you craft? Like, do you like it quiet? Do you like to have music on? Do you listen to audiobooks? I would love to hear that from people who are out there. What do you do? I love to have my other crafty people on in the background. Like, I listen to a lot of crochet and knitting podcasts. I love to listen to Glenda and Cody at Creative Grandma. I listen to Terry at Yarn Joy, of course, Crystal from Bag O' Day, right? And big congratulations to her. If you listen to her, you caught her video.
Ring planet Dizzy Saturn's rare equinox. Grab your telescope for a once-in-a-decade view of Saturn's rings this week.
Sorry about that. If you don't know yet, I am visually impaired, and so I use a screen reader on my phone. That's how I access the internet. If you don't know how people who are visually impaired access the internet, that is how. And so if I turn my screen reader up, it makes it I can operate some functions on my phone without it because I know where the buttons are, but it really makes it challenging for me to operate a touch screen to do very much with. Without the screen reader. And so I leave it on when I record, but I leave it on fairly quiet, which means sometimes it's just chattering away. I don't even know what it's saying. Sometimes it's the weather. Sometimes it's a product recall, a salmonella outbreak. Sometimes it's a news thing. I don't even know what all, or where it's even, like it's CBS News or weather or whatever. So it just chatters away in the background when the phone is on. When the phone's off, then it doesn't usually do that, and I still put it on Do Not Disturb. Put on Do Not Disturb at night. It's on Do Not Disturb now. You think it'd be quiet, but it still thinks I need to know whatever it's telling me. So it's chattering away. But anyways, I love to listen to Crystal from Bag O' Day, so big shout out to her. Congratulations. She deserves it. If you follow her and you haven't caught her video yet on her big secret, I'm not going to tell her secret. But let me tell you, I can't think of a creator who deserves it more out there on YouTube than Crystal. Okay, she's been out there for over 10 years and just providing us with free tutorials because she loves it. She loves crochet and she wants to share the love of crochet with all of us. So I can't think of anybody more deserving, and I'm so happy for her. And of course I wrote that on here, but congratulations, she totally deserves it. So I love to listen to her stuff. You know that when I'm crocheting, if I'm not using a tutorial, if I'm knitting, if I'm crocheting, I can't necessarily put on another crochet tutorial because it might distract me from what I'm doing. But when I'm just knitting like I'm doing right now, just straight knitting across, nothing fancy, no counting lace patterns, no cables, no shaping. If I'm just knitting, and even some shaping I can do, some lace too actually. I'll just put on sometimes crochet tutorials and listen to them in part so those crochet people out there can get the watch hours. That's super important for YouTube. Just put on your favorite content creators in the background while you're doing chores or something, or while I'm knitting, because I know that on YouTube, for people to get watch hours is important. So I love to watch her channel, and Jada and Glenda and Terry and Shannon from Another Yarn. And I get a lot of inspiration, and I love to hear from other creative artists, both knitting and crocheting and other crafts, just to get inspiration for ideas, right? I mean, I get ideas from nature, not just other creators, from nature, from my own clothing. As I've watched this project morph, right? I mean, it's literally morphed from like 3 or 4 different ideas as I work with it. It just started with Jada Square, and it was like, oh, and then I could do this, and then I could do this, and then I could do this. And I'm thinking of all the other ways that I could use this square and so many other squares. I finally get the love that people have of granny squares, okay? Like, I've been crocheting for less than a year, and I've been telling myself, like, you're gonna get the granny square. But when I finally did this one and made it, I was like, oh, I see why granny squares are addictive. Okay, I see why they're addictive. I see why people love to do them. And I see why they can just spark your creativity. I see why you can get one and then see so much potential with it. So for me, that's just sending my brain into all kinds of like creative overdrive. So I don't know how I'm ever going to make everything that I want to make. I said it before. I haven't morphed. My project has morphed and shape shifted many times in a matter of days. But I have yet to morph into the octopus that I keep saying I want to be, so I can knit and crochet at the same time. Just saying, haven't done that yet. So I don't even know how I'm gonna get all the things in my head I've created. Plus, I still have so much to learn when it comes to knitting and crochet. So I know, even though I want to jump in and design my own stuff that I'm making in my head, that I'm going to have to keep working. I'm going to have to balance my own creations, right, like the skirt, with working other people's patterns so that I can learn. This is really unusual for me to take on something new, like designing a skirt from the bottom up without having worked one that way before. That's really unusual for me. Usually when I want to learn something new, I say, work somebody else's project so the math is already done, right? I mean, I'm okay math. I can do some mathing, but this one challenged me some. And so usually I'm like, maybe work somebody else's project first when you're trying to learn something new for the first time, and don't struggle with the math and the design elements of something new while you're creating. But these little granny squares were just too much. It was just like, oh no, that's got to become something. So so that's unusual for me, but I do see it. I see why people get into it. So I know for me, as somebody who likes to make up my own projects as I go, like this skirt, right? I'm gonna have to balance working other people's projects with working my own.
King 5 at Spring Fest. Seattle police are investigating after multiple people were.
With working my own designs. So anyway, so I would love to hear what else some of you like to watch, where you get your Do you watch other channels? Where else do you get your inspiration for crafting? You know, I look at nature, as I talked about my shawl that became a dress, a skirt in here. Um, I think it's still here with me. That I did Crystal from Bag a Day. I did her Love of My Life shawl, and then I was like, oh no, that's gotta be a skirt, right? And I put those points, and that's from nature. All that came from that Astoria tonal, because I knew I had to do something with that because of the ocean and my trip there. And so I get inspiration from the ocean, from nature, from other people's works, from my own clothes, right? I can just go into my closet, and I got 3 bedrooms upstairs. The basement's under construction, but 3 bedrooms upstairs. We got 4, double door, not like walk-in closets, but 4 closets, and they're all just packed with my clothes. Okay, I can't even lie. They're packed with my clothes. And I just can pull out my own garments and start feeling them and feeling the shapes and feeling the styles. And I get inspiration from that for different shapes. I still have a little bit of sight, and so I can zoom. I don't see color. I just sort of see shapes and shades. But I will take a picture on the internet and zoom it in a little bit, and I'll look at that, and then I'll think, can I make that? Right? I love to challenge my brain and look at things and think, can I make that? I just love it. To me, it's like, okay, that's really cool, and I could spend money, and I could buy that, and it probably, I mean, come on, crafters, with the way that products are being made in other countries and overseas right now. Right now, anyways, it's still cheaper to buy, a garment for a dress for $30 or $40 or $50. It's still made in China. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's still cheaper, really, for most projects than to buy the yarn and then to put the days or the weeks or the months and making your own. So I don't know though, but I like the mental challenge of it. To me, that's the cool part. It's taking it on in my head, and the mental challenge of it, and being like, can I do that? Can I make that with my own 2 hands? And then can I make it my own? Right? Can I take that design and then make it my own? Craft it with my own hands, and then add my own sort of flair, my own style to it. So I'd love to hear from other people on where they get their inspiration from. I do, like I said, I've listed the channels mostly that I watch, and I'm sure that there are more. I know that there are probably like literally thousands of content creators out there on YouTube. I know that, and I just can't humanly watch them all. I do try to get a nice sampling. Oh, I watched Jennifer from Cinnamon Stitches too, and I do try to get a nice sampling of different creators out there. I don't always watch the same one. Sometimes I try to I'll see a small creator that might only have a few views, and I'm thinking like, oh, I should give them a watch just to, just so they can get the views and the watch hours. Now that I'm understanding. Oh my goodness, I've got my green yarn, and I've still got my white yarn. I was crocheting the bottom while I'm working the top because I was trying to decide on the length. So I've still got my white yarn. If you're blind or visually impaired, I've still got my white yarn attached to the bottom. And the green, I'm working the green right now. I'm knitting with you. And while I'm chatting, I'm knitting away. I hope that you're crafting away with me. I hope that we are hanging out together and crafting together. So, yeah. So I would love to hear. So as much as I'd love to watch all the YouTube channels, though, I do sometimes just need the quiet, like when I'm calculating and designing this. And then other times I just love to have music on. I listen to all kinds of music. I don't watch a lot of TV. I listen to audiobooks. I love to listen to audiobooks. So I do that. This last weekend was the Kentucky Derby. I definitely had that on for several hours while I was working on my squares, okay? And if you don't watch it, that's totally okay. I don't watch basketball. I know there's like basketball is a big thing. I don't watch basketball. As a visually impaired person, basketball is a really fast game. And to me, it's squeaky shoes and whistles. That's what basketball is for me. I'm like, nah, I can't follow that. So I know some people watch basketball and they love it, and that's totally fine. I get that. We're different, right? People are different, and people like different things. And that's what makes the world great. But I happen to love the Kentucky Derby. My dad raised me watching the Kentucky Derby with him. I can remember being like 2 years old and watching the Kentucky Derby with my dad. So it's just something I grew up with. It's family tradition. And I know it can be controversial. I know some people think it's cruel and all that. And I think that there have been times in the past. It's 150 years old, okay? It's like American history. It's American tradition at this point. It's very much a part of our culture and our history here in the United States. And of course, all the hats and everything, right? I love that. I love the fashion piece of it as well. But, I think throughout the 151 years, without a doubt, there have been some concerning issues with horses. But I think today the spotlight is on the Kentucky Derby so much that they have to be above board with things. I think we all watch Bob Baffert, right? He just had ethical issues, and they have vets there, and they will pull a horse if there's any concern at all with a leg issue, with an injury, with a health thing. It doesn't matter if that horse costs $1 million. If that horse is injured, they will pull it the day of the race, period. And that they have to do it that way. And the Kentucky Derby, if you don't know, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Horses can only run it when they're 3 years old, and that's it. If they miss out on that year, they miss out for a lifetime. So it's big money. It's, millions of dollars in a horse, millions of dollars in training. And you know what? If they don't make it that year because of an injury, then they don't make it. And so I have a lot of respect. I think that the vets do a very, very good job there. And they have to, because if a horse is injured or if a horse isn't well, then it increases the possibility that they could throw a rider, and then the riders could get killed out there on the track if they get thrown off during the race and get injured. They can get trampled by the other horses. So the health of the horses and the safety of the riders is their number one priority there. Absolutely. So I think that they really made sure in the last several years to make health and safety a number one priority. So I don't have a lot of concerns anymore for the ethics. And those horses love to run, okay? They were bred to run. And like I had guide dogs. I had 3 guide dogs. If you don't know that, I had 3 German Shepherd guide dogs, and my dogs were bred to work, and they loved to work. And when they didn't enjoy their job anymore, I retired them because that's the right thing to do. My first dog retired at just a month shy of turning 8, and she lived to be 14. So she lived another 6 years, okay? But I knew it was time to retire my dogs. I gave them to my parents. They were beloved pets and family members. And I think as long as that happens with racehorses, I think as long as there are plans that are made for them, I think it's okay. Is there overbreeding? Absolutely, there's overbreeding of thoroughbreds, and that is sad. I do think they should have a responsibility to place them if they're not racing, and we do know that many thoroughbreds don't necessarily end up in the best circumstances. That they're bred for racing and then they never make it, and that, of course, is, I think, still a concern that anybody who's a fan of the sport, right, which is me, we need to do our part to encourage the breeders to make sure that those horses end up in homes and in facilities where they can enjoy their life. So that to me is the bigger concern than on what we see on race day at this point, that there may be too many horses bred and they may not end up in the best circumstances. But those horses, make no mistake, those horses love to race. They were bred for that and they love to run. They live for it. So I live out in the country. If you don't know that yet, I live on 5 acres. And I used to have horses like here. They weren't even my horses. But I love horses so much that before the house was built, we let somebody keep their horses out here just so I could hang out with them. That's how much I love horses. I'm like, keep your horses here for free because I want to brush them and feed them and ride them and hang out with them. And they were just quarter horses. But I loved them still. And my neighbor across the road, he's passed away now, but he used to have a retired thoroughbred. His horse was 30 years old. A retired thoroughbred. And we live on a highway. I'm sure you hear the traffic. And he was like, you know what? We'd have to tell people, do not leave the gate open. Because even at 30 years old, if that gate was left open, he said that thoroughbred, it was like the bell went off at the racetrack. He would make a beeline for that gate and he'd just go galloping down the highway. And he said all we could do was hook up the trailer and hope and pray, right, that nobody hit him, because he could have got injured if he was hit by a car. And of course he could have totaled somebody's vehicle and injured them, and thankfully that never happened. But he used to, even at 30 years old, if the gate was open, he would go just tearing out of that yard like he was still on the track. So even at 30, a thoroughbred will still run. So anybody who has concerns that the horses are forced to run, they're not. They love to run. They're bred for it. So that was my company over the weekend while I was stitching. So I'd love to hear from other people on what you do. Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you listen to music? Do you watch movies? What do you do for inspiration on your projects? Yeah, I just would love to know those things about people. I can do YouTube for a while, but sometimes I gotta get a break from that, and sometimes I gotta have the quiet so I can just do some calculations, right? Let my ideas kind of percolate. So I don't know. I think I can get inspiration for a project these days. I feel like I design in my sleep just about right now. I kind of am in such a creative space that I hardly make space for anything else in my life these days. It's like my mind is so preoccupied with knitting and crocheting and designs and how I can make things work, right? Like a big puzzle. I'm like these squares. I'm like, how can I make that work like that? Can I fit those pieces together? Can I make that happen? I feel like my mind is so preoccupied right now with design and all the possibilities that I feel like it's I don't even have space for other things in my life very much right now. It's like, I guess I gotta do the basics every now and then, right? I gotta do some laundry every now and then. Gotta cook every now and then. I do even make some cooking videos. I should make some more sometime for you all. But I feel like my brain is almost like creating even when I'm sleeping. It's like I'm thinking, I'm designing all the time. I think and design now. I look at the things and I think, ooh, can I crochet that? Can I knit that? Like almost everything in life. That's where I go. So, anyways, that's where I'm at this week. This is the WIP. I think it's getting kind of dark in here. I have no idea. If you don't know that yet, I am blinded by light. So I'm going to I'll turn on my little lamp over here for y'all for a minute. I think my natural lighting, my sunlight, It's disappearing. So what do y'all think of the length of this skirt? Do you like the length for a skirt? Do you like the length? Is it about time to do the ribbing? I think it's going to be right about to my knees. And I think it's time to start the ribbing for the waistband. And then that would mean I probably wouldn't put a ruffle on the bottom. But I think I might make it. I might do my first bottom-up skirt. So that's what it looks like. I am going to go ahead and pause the video. I'll turn on the light if you do watch my videos to the end. I know for some sighted people, it's like watching people create in the dark. You're like, what? What's she doing and why? And it's because I'm blind by light, so it's more comfortable on my eyes to work in a room that's dimly lit. But I will pause and then I will turn on the overhead light and let you see the project in the light. So, hang on.
Pause.
Okay, so here is the skirt. These are the granny squares in the comfy worsted. They are white in the center. They have the holly berry for the flowers, the petals, and then the granny square part that squares it up is done in the dark ivy green. And then I went and did another border of white, framed it in white. And then the body of the skirt, so I crocheted those and then did that together. And then picked up the stitches with the knitting needles and started shaping the skirt. I did some shaping there and then kept the edge pretty straight. And now I'm doing some decreases for the waistband. So I think it's about to the length that I want, and I think I'm ready to start the ribbing. So if the ribbing goes well this week, then hopefully you'll see this for Finisher Friday. Hopefully. Alrighty, my crafty friends. Well, you just keep right on creating. And remember what I always say, creativity is for everybody. Whether you see or you see like me, with just not so much and no color and not in the daytime, or you don't see at all, creativity is for you. And whether it's knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or beading or sculpting or painting or writing or whatever it is that you do, today is a great day to craft and create. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, bye-bye for now.
Pause button.